All right, time for B-10. This is page 13, and we're working on the toucan's beak. So at this point, we've got the beak. We used the shape builder. It's divided into a bunch of pieces, and we're going to work on that bottom piece to make a gradient. And a gradient is where it goes from one color gradually into another color. Over here in your tools, there is a gradient tool. Kind of looks like a gradient. If you press G, you'll see the gradient tool. Then if we click on that bottom beak, what will happen is we will see the gradient editor appear. And there are two colors already on this. Notice there's a white circle and a black circle. That white circle is a gradient stop. That's a color stop. And the black circle is a gradient stop, which is a color stop. So what we're going to do is we're going to set each of these to one of the orange colors. So you're just basically going to click on one and give it a color, and then click on the other and give it a color. And you can choose which direction you want those to go. Totally up to you on that. You can also move the gradient around, like there's little rotate buttons, so you can rotate your gradient. You can also move how far it goes down, by moving this around a little bit as well. So you can edit it just that way. Now there's also a gradient panel. So remember, to get panels that we don't have, go to Window and Gradient. And that's going to open up the gradient panel. You can see your two color stops here. There's also two other types of gradients in here. If you click on one, this is radial, where it starts in the middle and goes out. Or if you click on this other one, this is the freeform, and you have to do other stuff to that. I don't really use that one. So linear and radial are kind of your two main two. Okay. You can modify the angle of the gradient. So in here, there is the little angle button that rotates that around. But again, you can also just pick it up and move it yourself with the little rotate button. So you've got all those same options. They're tied to those buttons that are in there as well. You can also change the color or mix new colors. So for instance, if I wanted to make this end a little bit like yellower, you could double click on your rightmost stop. And then click on the little paint palette button here. And this is going to bring up your color, but if you pull the magenta back, for instance, you can make it lighter. So you can see how that's getting lighter on there. And that's just one way to edit your gradient. So you can just double click and go back into there and modify those colors even more. Okay, so that's some just very simple ways to edit gradients. And there is a gradient book, as mentioned before, in your swatches. If you click on the library book, gradients is in there, and you could go through and choose other like color combinations and choose those. So there's some in here, for instance, but these wouldn't be in our color palette that we've been using. So I want to click off my gradient tool, and then I could click on one of those from in there. But I don't like that. I'm going to hit Control-Z and undo it. And that's how you can create a gradient and customize that gradient.